as quoted by Charles Franklin Kettering. To know is one thing, but to fully understand the whys and the hows is a different ballgame. Keeping this as a base for what we'll be talking about in this video, let's tell you about a real story and try to make you understand the facts behind the story. One of the finest platforms in the world of electronic exchanges was created by a visionary architect of modern financial markets. It was called the National Spot Exchange Limited. NSCL was a premier electronic commodity spot exchange set up by Financial Technologies in 2007. The need for an electronic spot exchange rose as a part of the government's plan to create a nationwide common market for commodities in which spot exchanges can play an important role of efficient price discovery. The exchange successfully served the role of an integrated market for commodities, including agro-products, that often made even leading PSUs seek its platform and services in obtaining efficient price discovery and transparent trading. NSCL was carrying out a perfectly legal and legitimate business and was growing steadily with no history of a delayed settlement or any payment problem at any point during its existence. It was supervised by the FMC. Up until now, it was all good. But then one day, the FMC took a disputable action citing reasons which still remain contested. This triggered a crisis that put the interest of all the stakeholders in grave peril. Before we dive into the reasons that created this crisis, let us tell you a bit more about electronic spot exchange. In India, spot exchanges refer to trading platforms where a farmer or a trader can discover the prices of commodities on a national level. Just like a spot market, spot exchange is a platform where sellers and buyers conclude a transaction with each other. The grain and vegetable market on the roadside is an example of a spot market. This kind of arrangement provides both the seller and buyer an opportunity to trade at a negotiated price. The spot exchange provides them a platform to perform trade on a fair ground. There are many advantages of spot exchange. It can lead to efficient price determination as price is determined by a wider cross-section of people from across the country. This also ensures transparency in price discovery. If spot exchanges can ensure participation in large numbers by farmers, traders, and processors across the country, it can eliminate the possibility of cartelization or any other such unhealthy practices prevalent in commodity markets. Now that you know how NSCL functions, it's time for us to finally explain the plot behind the bias move against NSCL and its promoters. August 2011, the government appoints FMC, Forward Markets Commission, as the agency for overseeing all spot exchanges. In July 2013, the FMC advises, or rather ill-advises, the DCA to halt launching of fresh contracts at NSCL. This spooked the market, which then resulted in some players defaulting on their obligations. It was the abrupt action by DCA that triggered the payment default crisis. When DCA suddenly stopped the exchange from its operations, the group of members that were to receive the money were trapped because the other group that owed them money faced a liquidity crunch due to the sudden suspension of trading, thus instigating a series of defaults. Like explained before, NSCL was merely a trading platform where traders bought and sold commodities. Like any other exchange, money would travel from buyer to seller through official banking channels. NSCL did not accept any deposits or lend any money. NSCL was providing fortnightly information on each and every aspect of trading to the FMC and complying with all the aspects of the regulations. It was the traders and their brokers who used NSCL as a platform to execute contracts. The exchange happened between them. The brokers designed and paired contracts in order to lure their clients into trading on NSCL. NSCL, on their part, had sent out repeated circulars to the brokers prohibiting them from offering any assured returns on NSCL contracts. For a crisis triggered by it, the FMC did not have any sort of backup plan on how to contain the damage it had done or how to manage the impact of the forced closure. The FMC created the problem, which could have been easily solved, but it did not solve the problem, instead complicated and criminalized it. Any regulator other than the FMC would have ring-fenced the problem that it created on the exchange and would have taken step towards a quick resolution. It was only after the abrupt closure of trading, which resulted in a payment default, that 24 trading entities turned defaulters and failed to meet their commitments. FMC took no action against the 24 traders who defaulted, only to make FTIL, now known as 63 Moons, and Jignesh Shah, the man behind the idea of NSCL, a scapegoat. So convenient, isn't it? Now that we've explained the backstory, let us talk a bit about Jignesh Shah, the man whose relentless efforts to solve this crisis has been a true example of his character and also his struggle. Mr. Jignesh Shah is a first-generation entrepreneur who set up a wide ecosystem of financial market infrastructure. He established India's footprint in the global exchange industry space. Perhaps his meteoric rise and his positive interventions in the markets made certain vested interests feel threatened. His company was operating 9 exchanges globally, so he was not micromanaging any of them. He had professional teams running all of them. None of his other exchanges ever received any government sanction except for the FMC's harsh action, that too without proper validation and assessment. In fact, after the crisis erupted, he stood his ground and was available to every investigative agency and extended all the cooperation required. His innocence was proved beyond any doubt when the investigative agencies confirmed that no money was received by Mr. Jignesh Shah or his family, but it had all been traced to the 24 defaulters. A statement to this effect was even made in the parliament, where it was stated that all the money had gone to the 24 defaulters. To sum it up, there is no entrepreneur, perhaps in the recent period, who has endured so much pain for a mishap that happened in one of his companies. Going beyond his responsibility as a promoter of a group company, he ensured that all the E-series contracts were settled fully. He stood determined to protect the interests of the shareholders of the company and other stakeholders. There was never an occasion that the salaries of the employees were even delayed for a day, despite many of the operational bank accounts being frozen by the authorities, even when not warranted, only to harass him. He has been trying his best to make every effort to ensure that every client receives his due as soon as the government agencies liquidate the assets frozen of the defaulters. Repeating the words of wisdom we quoted at the beginning of this video, there is a great difference between knowing and understanding. You can know a lot about something and not really understand it. This by far is the most tragic aspect of this crisis. Despite so much clarity, facts, and truths already in favor of FTIL and its promoters, a smear campaign is run and spread by groups with vested interests. One such video floating around on the web was found on Bizbo's YouTube channel. They claim to know it all, but sadly have very little understanding on it. Here are a few counterpoints to what is said in a propaganda video made and circulated by people behind Bizbo. Bizbo says Rs 5,572 crores disappeared from FTIL's subsidiary NSCL. First of all, as mentioned earlier in this video, the amount stated by Bizbo was not with NSCL to disappear. This amount is owed by the counterparties of the trade rather than the exchange. Important, once again, to note this difference. NSCL, as you must know by now, only provided a platform and did not trade for itself, nor borrow or lend any money. Bizbo says 97% of NSCL's turnover of Rs 73,390 crore wasn't paired contracts. No, there was no paired contract as such that was introduced by NSCL. Brokers began to design certain changes in the existing contracts. These carried risk, and NSCL repeatedly warned brokers against aggressively marketing these contracts or even recommending them to their clients. Later, investigations revealed that some brokers went to the extent of violating regulatory compliance by financing such trading, and in some cases even traded for themselves, which the regulation does not permit. The Bisbo video also claims that the warehouse was inside the compound of the processor. Records show that brokers had visited these warehouses, where the stocks were held nearly 50 times they visited. Government-appointed auditors have checked these warehouses many times. At any point of time, or when you made the video, did you see any letter or document from the brokers expressing their concern on warehousing or on stock stored? Did the brokers bring any discrepancy to the notice of the FMC anytime during the operations or even in their audit reports? Did the FMC, who was receiving fortnightly information from the spot exchange, raise any red flag on the issue? They even called NSCL a Ponzi scheme. But little do they know that if it was a Ponzi scheme, then why is it that NSCL provided complete information on all its business operations every fortnight to FMC? Why is it that FMC advised public sector procurement companies to trade on NSCL platform for better price discovery and efficient transactions? How come NSCL made pay-in and payouts to the tune of rupees 2,80,156 crores since its formation? Bisbo, it seems, does not want the brokers who have violated norms to be brought to book. It says that the brokers who were the first ones to file an FIR against Jignesh Shah to recover the investors' money are ironically themselves targeted by the SFIO. Brokers have blatantly indulged in several market abuses, such as trading without client authority, misuse or modification of unique client code, trades not matching with the records of applicant, non-receipt of the payouts, manipulation of ledger accounts, fabrication and forgery of documents. Then you tell me, why should the brokers not be questioned by CIFO or any other agency? Bisbo also compares this case with Vijay Mallya or Nirav Modi case. To answer this, the big difference is whatever has been lost in the likes of Nirav Modi case is lost for everyone. And that is a huge loss for the public exchequer. However, in the case of NSCL, against the claims of rupees 5,600 crore, assets to the tune of rupees 6,500 crore are confiscated and lying with the government authorities. Compensating clients is taking long, as many claims have not been established due to various market abuses of brokers. FTIL lent an immediate loan of rupees 179 crore to NSCL to pay and settle claims of smaller clients up to rupees 10 lakh. About 7,500 clients are partially settled. NSCL efforts to compensate the claims of the aged, ill, and needy were halted by big clients who are more keen on tarnishing the reputation of Jignesh Shah than seeing a settlement soon. To sum it up, the main reason behind making this video is purely to show the world the true picture about the crisis at NSCL. NSCL and its promoters have and will always fight the injustice. They will continue their relentless efforts to see proper justice is done to all the stakeholders, to resolve the crisis and endeavor to settle claims. This video was made in public interest by 63 Moons to make people aware of the wrong information spread against Mr. Jignesh Shah. We know that fake news and paid journalism is a menace to any society. And as responsible citizens, we must be aware of any such organization or a social platform. In the end, We request everyone to always understand the whys before making any assumptions against anyone. Thank you for your time.